Hi, this is a mid-year flip through of my 2026 reading journal. This is an Archer and Olive B5. This is my first time using an Archer and Olive. The last 2 years I used a Notebook Therapy. This is where we are at the halfway point. Okay, opening pages. This is just an image that I got on Etsy. And then I used some Posca paint markers or pens to add some green and purple, and I try to stick with the ghost theme all throughout. This is Boo from Maragona Sully. I had a sticker sheet of just Boo, so I kind of try to put him on all of the challenge pages and the monthly intro pages. All right, so these are my stats. I'm doing it a little differently this year. I put 2 stat charts per page to save me a little bit of room. So I've got my format, star rating, where I got it, and the genre. And sticking with the same stuff as last year: physical ebook, audio, graphic novel, novella, and then star ratings 1 through 5, and then half star ratings in between. Where work, and I work at a school library, public library, NetGalley, ARC, Kindle Unlimited, Audible, purchase, or did I get it from friends and family? Which it looks like I have no friends and family that lend me books. And then genre: romance, horror, mystery, science fiction, fantasy, historical fiction, literary fiction, and nonfiction. And so I'm up to date through June. All right, my first kind of challenge is my priority reads. And last year I did entirely too many for my priority reads, so I knocked it down to 20. And I feel like that's more manageable, and I'm doing really well. I'm actually listening to this one right now in audio. I got it through Libby. These 2 I have at the library where I work. This one as well. And this one I actually finished just this week, so this is actually a July read. Okay, and here's my usual reading challenge: don't tell me what to read, but tell me what to read reading challenge. My prompts, and then so I have the prompt and related title, and then the date that I completed the prompt. So I'm doing really well on that challenge. And this little skeleton cat, that's another sticker sheet that I got from Maragona Sully. All right, this is on the cover bingo. I'm clearly very close to finishing. I have one more, which is a butterfly on the cover. So the prompts are transportation, falling leaves, open book, clock, skull, starry sky, road or path, floral illustration, smoke or fog, cityscape, furniture, jewelry. I did a free space this year. An upside down or reflected image, butterfly, clouds, string of lights, weapon or weapons, phone, amusement park or fair, fence or gate, pier or dock on the water, a couple, palm trees, and a bridge. And then this is my horror bucket list. And there's Boo and the cat. So I'm doing pretty well on this. I drew these little illustrations for each one. I just kind of Googled an image and then tried to pick the most simplistic drawing so that I could try to replicate it. And then I've written the title and the author that I read for the prompt underneath. So I still have to do a folk horror, which I have a book waiting for me at the public library. Summer camp, still going on that one. Farm, I have one in mind for that, and I am really struggling to find a werewolf or vampire horror book that I want to read. A lot of them are romance fantasy books, and I'm not interested in that. I want a straight up horror book. All right, so I am doing a Western Lit challenge. So I have 14 categories, which are published in 2025, published 2026, a classic Western, traditional Western, revisionist, space, Western romance, short story collection, graphic novel, movie or show adaptation, novella, fantasy, and recommended by HBY, which is my grandfather's initials. Westerns was one of his favorite reading genres, and movies as well. So I'm doing pretty well on this. I have a book in mind I still have to do the 2025, 2026, and traditional, and Weird West. I'm saving the Weird West one because that's probably going to be my favorite one of the category, of the challenge, so I'm kind of saving that one, but I think I'm going to read Red Rabbit, which I have on my Kindle. I am going to do The Year of Goober this year, his bakery, and I have the month with the prompts listed here, and I'm doing both versions. I'm doing both the regular prompt, and I'm trying to do the bonus, and so I'm putting the baked good, each of them, for each month. That's my attempt. And this one, I am actually going to do it just within the month. I know it's not necessarily intended to be that way, but that's what I'm going to do, and so this will kind of draw out the challenge a little bit more. I'm also doing a colors challenge where the color is in the title, not just the color of the cover. So I'm doing pretty well on this one. I also finished this one. I finished this one yesterday. So I still need to do orange and black, but I have something in mind for both of them. And then I couldn't decide on a last color, like I didn't know if I was going to do brown or gray or like a silver or something, so I decided to do rainbow, and this was not a good book. But it's done. Okay. And then so I have numbers as well, where the number is in the title. So I still need 5 and 8. I have 5 picked out, and 8 I am waiting on approval from NetGalley for an ARC request, but it's been sitting there for quite some time, so I'm not hopeful. So maybe I can get it through the public library or on Kindle or something when it's finally published. This is my shelfie. I usually do where you pull a little tab out, but this time I did like a little moving bookcase, and so this is the original 200. So once those are filled up, then I will move the bookcase and start drawing in additional titles that I read after 200. This is a little snug, and I did have a good deal of trouble because usually I just have a blank page and then I tape them around the edges, but these pages did not line up. They still don't line up. I don't know if you can see that, but I had to figure out a way to make it to where I could toggle and still turn the page without it buckling. And so this was my solution, but this was my first indication that I may not like Archer and Olive notebooks, but we're still just halfway through, so there's still a lot to test it out with. So see, still kind of snug, but that's on me. This snugness here is my fault. But anyway, that's how this page works. Then I have my DNF dump site instead of graveyard. So this says open to the public when you're bored to tears, all prose and no plot. You get the ick from bedroom scenes, you're totally lost. Politics and romance try to mix. Those are just things that I tend to DNF on. And then so the dump truck dumps the DNFs in there. So I have included a picture of the cover, the date I DNF'd, and the percentage. I got to 67% on the HAR, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't continue. My romance trope, I have this little thing here because whenever I was turning the page, I kept snagging this, so it's kind of trying to keep that in place. But this is where I am so far on the list. And my tropes, I think they're similar to last year. Slow burn, enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, grumpy sunshine, he falls first, athlete, off limits, found family, single parent, forced proximity, second chance, and fake relationship. All right, these are monthly favorites up to June. All right, and then we get into January. So I went with a snowy theme. We don't often get snow where I live, but we got it twice in January this year. So that was pretty exciting. This is my calendar. It's an igloo. And then below is a little Yeti drawing a picture of a penguin wanting to be friends with this snowman. And then there's a little tiny Boo. So like I said, each page is gonna try to have a Boo. So this is a very minimalist setup for this month. I also did Winterween. My first time doing Winterween. I did Summerween last year, but not Winterween because I wasn't aware of it. But so here are the prompts. These are the books I read for the prompts. Yeah, and these were stickers that I got from Etsy, from the shop that's associated with the challenge. Okay, and then my other reads for January. That was my top pick for the month. I'm disappointed in this one. I know there's one more book in this series and I just don't think I want to do it. Okay, and then we get into February. So like little romantic ghosts. Here is a quote from Butcher and Blackbird, and there's 2 Boos. And then my calendar here, and then just a little spider web kind of cutout thing. These are the books that I read for the month. And then here they are again with, you know, the ratings of where I got it, the genre, the date I finished it, and the format is the sticker. So this is ebook, audio, physical book. And then I had to do a tip in here, or I chose to do a hip in. This one was very fun. Okay, so that is February. And then we get into March. March is my wedding anniversary month. So, and I love The Corpse Bride. And so I thought I'd do a little drawing with the butterflies, like cutouts on this page. And there's a little Boo. And then so here are the first books I read with ratings, and then continue on through. This was very good. This was like a fantasy retelling of Jane Eyre, but with the genders swapped. So that was a lot of fun. Very good quiet horror book. Disappointing. This was kind of fun. Okay, this was a lot of fun. I would not have read this without having done the colors challenge, so that's why I like the challenges. I never would have come across this book, but it was a lot of fun. Read Lonesome Dove, fantastic book. That was my top pick for the month. And then I have a little tip in here for these last ones. I know everybody's talking about this book. It is worth reading, but I don't necessarily recommend it. Okay, and then this is April. My family goes to a strawberry patch, usually in April or May. And so this is one of my favorite recipes for strawberry shortcake. And so you just flip through, and there she is. There's Boo. And then the keyboard is my calendar. And then this is supposed to be a strawberry field, kind of what it looks like where we go to pick strawberries. And then these are the books that I read for the month. And my books and ratings. And then I try to, like, if it fits a challenge, I will write it next to the book cover. And then just some doodles. Very good book. Very good. Okay, and then this is for May. I'm like looking for the month. I wrote it really small. The lily pads are my calendar, and here is Boo in a canoe. And then let me bring this down. This is what's inside the tent. So this was just a image that I Googled and then did with my Tombow dual brush pens, markers, and then made this little interactive thing. All right, these are the books I read. And some more doodles. Very good. Disappointing. If you do this, do not do the audio. I strongly suggest avoiding the audio. It does not translate well in an audio format. This was very good. And then I had some more here, and then I just did a little drawing, and then I did the Goober Readathon, which is in just part of May, and these were the reads that I had that actually fit the challenge. And then here's the study plan, and then I did, this was my favorite book that I read during the challenge, and these are just some of the these are not some, these are the prompts. And then these are the cooking concepts that I mastered in the tiers, and then this was the tier that I matched with, which was Cursed Caterer. So that was pretty fun. I like this challenge because the way that I interpreted it, because I don't like to double up on challenges. I don't like to have something count for bingo and then also be a priority read. But this one's kind of seemed like you just read what you're going to read, and then if it fits something, then great. And then of course there's 3 people who are the creators of this challenge. Oh, I'm missing a book on here. Huh. Okay. Anyway, it was fun. I'll probably do it again. Okay, and then here we are to June. This is Gilligan's Island Funland Golf. My family goes to Surfside, South Carolina, which is near Myrtle Beach, for vacation each year, and so mini golf is something we always do. And these were supposed to be like the scorecards, but this is my calendar. So there's 2 courses. There's the Castaways and there's the Minnow course. And so I just used transparent paper to print these scorecards on to keep track of my reads for the month. And then these were favorite quotes. Also printed these on the transparency paper. And I might do this again because my handwriting is really bad, but I can actually read these. So this might be a repeat approach. But anyway, this is another one of the holes. It's inside a cave. And that's supposed to be a waterfall on the other side. Okay, so reads plus some doodles. This was so fun. Much better than book 1. Book 1 was kind of a dud. Disappointing. That was a priority read. This was really fun for a middle grade scorer. Disappointing. It lacked the humor and levity that Bachman's work, that I usually find when I read his work. That was also fun. This one's really gross. If you're at all queasy, this may not be something you can enjoy. And then there's that terrible one. Oh, I need to put colors on here. And I thought Camp Damascus would work for my summer camp horror prompt, but not a whole lot of it actually takes place at the camp. So I feel like I can't use it. Oh, this one is a prompt as well. And that is too. Okay, I'm a little behind on this stuff. And that was the last of it. Okay, and then we get into July. So that is my midpoint. Doing pretty good on pages left. So let's hope I can continue on for the rest of the year in this same notebook. Bye.